Have we had some wise and fabulously innovative thoughts you'd like to share with us all in a safe space?
I'm going to admit that I probably taught it really badly.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the point of the hub. It is a safe space. Me too. I've taught that for years.
Yeah.
Sorry to the Trinity.
And actually, I forgot my theology. Yeah. I haven't brought my degree and my studies and my, dare I say, my preaching in churches into the classroom. And I sometimes go, why? That's a real, wake-up call for me, going, what am I doing?
Well, excellent. Good. And congratulations. And excellent. Because, that's what we need to make ourselves be better, because there's never going to be money or time or status for us, ever again. We got to do it for ourselves. Yeah. So excellent. Takes a lot of guts, I think. Yeah. So any more thoughts about how you capture the personal or the experiential element to this?
I think because I often, when looking at the nature of worship, I've used different clips, different things, and just pieces of music that are not religious to capture different emotions and things.
That's a good idea.
I think, though, that what I need for my teaching is a step into talking about the Trinity.
Right.
So if not, look, for example, one of the simplifications or the slight mis-simplification.
Yes.
A falsehood taught in the name of simplification. Then what? Because I cannot start, because we might have an hour.
Yes.
To do the Trinity.
Yes.
With 11-year-olds who have no basis.
Yes.
And some of whom have, say, level 2 literacy, so therefore don't have the vocabulary to explore these ideas. I need a way in, and the way in can't be look at these complex things and now we're going to. It has to be something very simple. With my brightest, with my students who are most able to be resilient enough to carry on and to hold on to ideas and to explore ideas without sort of going, oh, I don't get it. I would look at something like, why is water or ice thing not? So this is how people sometimes describe it. At the end, when we finish studying it, I want you to tell me why it would something else would be better.
That's good.
And critique it. But with many of my students, we would never get to that point. Even probably with some of them after a lot of study, let alone an hour or maybe two. And so what would be the least problematic simplification as a stepping stone from which some students can then go, oh, I see why it's not that simple. And other students can just use it as a basic starting point. What would be the least problematic simplification?
Kate and I haven't discussed this because it occurred to me just beyond the 11th hour. But one thing I did say is I wonder, and I'm not a teacher so I don't know, but I wonder if you could have the three statements, God is one, God is person, and God is love, and ask what follows from each of those. What does it mean to say God is one? A common misunderstanding by people who don't wish faith well is there just happens to be one God, the one of number. Is there a God? Yes, there is a God. How many gods are there? Just the one. That's not what the Abrahamic faiths teach, actually. It's the one of uniqueness. Once you expose the one of uniqueness for what it is, then this can be a uniquely complex one. God is person, that's what I'm saying. There's Eulas and that whole school of thought says you cannot be a person unless you're in a relationship. A mind merely meditating on mind outside of time is not a person. It implodes again. And love, how much more so? You cannot be a lover unless there is a beloved. I don't know. But
I wonder if that's really.
I was going to say, for me, some of my students might be able to access that top of GCSE, but I'm talking 11-year-olds.
But I wonder if that's starting at the most abstract level. Maybe do you ever say you start doing Hinduism or something, and you're like, right, guys, Hinduism is not polytheistic, and you actually start with the abstract ideas, and it's not till like 3 lessons in they actually get you think, why didn't I do this now? Why didn't I just start off with some? How about just some information, some teaching them some stuff, and then later on, when they know a bit more about Christianity itself, or Judaism, in fact, itself, they might start articulating the more abstract ideas. Is that what you're going to say?
What I was going to say, I think the most helpful way is broadly to do it in the historical order in which these things emerged as well. So I did talk about this morning. So one of the problems is we come at it from the wrong end. We try and start with the Trinity when actually that was a solution in some respects to a set of commitments they already had. So they all believed that God was one. They then believed, because of their experience of the resurrection, that Jesus was also God. And then because of their experience of prayer, they believed the Spirit was God. So So they had 3 things they believed, and then they had to think, oh, how can we believe all those things
So
at
we've now
once?
I've rewritten Year 7 to have Judaism first.
Yeah.
We do Judaism so that we can start with more theological Christianity rather than starting from scratch.
And then you can ask them, how would you square that? How would you square the fact that there seem to be 3 things they have to believe, and it's not easy to see how you...
A lot of my students could access that, and there are still some that will need something that they can say, to have something to say, to have somewhere to hang some understanding.
I mean, but if you understand, you can give your students that. I mean, this sort of session is about as much about your understanding. I think
really
we need to crack on. Sorry, but we need to crack on because we've got like 10 minutes. So really quickly then, some context, some historical context, some facts, some stuff, some information. I'm just offering it to you. It's on your sheet. So one piece of information is called the Jesus movement in the 1st century, to contextualise that moment in history when the Jesus movement exploded into being. Patrick's phrase, a lovely phrase, the Jesus movement, which I'm going to steal now forever.
It's not mine.
Oh, it's good. Oh, well, thank you for it anyway. And if you go a bit further in, you can see. So this is a photocopyable sheet. You're welcome to have it. Give it out in the classroom. The brief history of the Trinity itself. Noting that it's not a biblical idea, a few basic pointers about some Trinitarian thinking in development. But let's turn our attention to this one. Evidence, my word, evidence. You were like, it's not evidence, is it? So we agreed at hints or resonances or evidence. I was like, look, you don't understand 11-year-olds. You should have said to me, yes, I do. Anyway, whatever. So there's some biblical quotes there, Old Testament to New Testament. Get your kids to write in the little column on the right, which bit of God is this describing? Father, or one, transcendent, creator, judge, Father God, or the idea of something like an incarnate God, or the idea of something like a spirit of God. So that's something you could get your kids to do, and then they can start to tell you. And then they can start to piece it together, and maybe the abstract ideas will come a lot later, and the diagrams trying to represent the abstract ideas will come a lot later. Maybe we just start with some stuff. I think this Karen Armstrong information is, it's valuable, especially for GCSE, to really contextualise through a huge sweep of history, a religious idea. But it's a problematic view because she does not take an insider's view. I would say scientistic. You have said, Patrick, encyclopedic.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe missing something, but for some students, my last school was a boys' grammar school, very intelligent boys, very thirsty to learn. But utterly, religion wasn't part of their lives, and there was no time to do any groundwork to make them have some sympathetic view of religion. That wasn't really where I was there for. So this kind of stuff for them, seeing belief itself in terms of human history as a human phenomenon, which has always been part of human civilization, unlocked for them some of the ideas I needed them to work with. This won't suit all of you, so let's ignore this for now because we've basically got no time left. Would you like to look at these 3 resources here? Have a think about how they might work in your classroom. Got some ideas, some lead-ins, what you might do with them, and we'll talk about them in a couple of minutes. 3 minutes. Sorry to cut you off, we're just so short of time. Minutes now. Any comments on the idea of teaching some stuff before you go anywhere near thinking, just learning stuff? I did a history cover a couple of years ago. I went in a class I actually taught, so I wasn't too worried about them being naughty. And I was like, hello, boys, wait. Looking on the desk. Oh, Mr. Thingy says, read page 9 to 26. Thinking, thanks, mate. Thank you. And they were like, all right. Sat down, opened the book, started reading. And I was like, wow, history. They do it in history. They make them learn stuff. And then at the very end of learning a lot of stuff, they go, have you got a view? What do you think of the use of that word? They might be invited to comment on it. Is stuff harder to access or easier to access for our youngsters?
I was wondering, the Hampshire Agreed Syllabus starts from experience.
Hampshire Agreed Syllabus is unique.
The Hampshire Agreed Syllabus basically starts from them.
Yes.
It contextualises, it explores things in from their own
yes.
experience, and it hangs something on now. Okay,
yes.
Now you know that feeling you have, or you
yes.
know that idea you have, or that experience. Now we're going to link that into. I don't know how to do that with this. And I think the only way that I've ever seen anyone do it with this is those simplifications,
yes.
those heresies. So,
although we were talking a minute ago,
I don't know how to do. How do I link it to them?
We were talking a minute ago about the problem of having taught the Shamrock for years, and there's the need for simplification to start somewhere. But how about a bit later on, you asked the children themselves to critique. after some more time, actually some people think teaching with using this image of a shamrock is not good enough. What do you think about that? Like, you're not just teaching them about the Trinity, you're not just teaching them about Christianity, you're teaching them to think, you're teaching them to critique and to deconstruct what they see and come to their own view and to be able to support it and to be happy that the person next to them disagrees for a different reason.
I quickly bring up two things. First of all, do go to the website in due course and look at Philip's paper. I'm not turning this into a love-in. Philip does take us on a journey through images in art, which are accessible as images in art. Beyond Rublev, he very kindly left Rublev to me, but other images of the Trinity, and has the sets of question. Does this portray a real relationship? Does this get it right in terms of the oneness of God? Does this get it right in terms of the interpenetration, the dance of the third person of the Trinity? And that can be very, you've got something there. Another thing that just occurs to me to take a bit more working at is not to use Dan Brown, but to use the spirit of Dan Brown and something about the drama of the ecumenical councils, 325 Nicaea, of ending up with of the same substance rather than of like substance. That's not the Trinity yet.
That would be brilliant.
But then 381 with Constantinople, the drama of realising that what you say of the Son, you've pretty much got to say of the Spirit as well. So,
like swords. Swords in the classroom, definitely.
One of the difficulties with starting with experience is they might not have had a relevant experience.
Yeah.
And that's why this is really difficult. They will have had it if they've had some experience of prayer, I think, but you can't assume that.
But the Hampshire Agreed Syllabus is like postmodern, really, isn't it? It doesn't accept any meta truth.
So one of the ways you can do it is give them something that's accessible in terms of this is what I can do straight away. You're giving me a task I can do, even though I've not got an experience I can get associated with it. So while the images work, you give them a set of, you just say, Christians want to express these 5 things about God. How well do these images do that? Discuss. And that's how I think I would do it if I were in yours.
Okay, last thoughts or questions, anybody? I think we've got a little 10-minute plenary upstairs and then the sun's come out. It's been lovely to have you. Thank you for coming to another hub. Do please get involved. Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. Okay, so we'll see you upstairs in a minute. Thank you very much.